Hello everyone, and welcome to Mentoring First Generation Students, the Prior Learning Connection. My name is Kent Seaver, and I am the Director of Academic Operations for the Naveen Jindal School of Management at the University of Texas at Dallas in Dallas, Texas. And I am thankful for everyone who is still with us here at the Educause NERComp Conference. And I want to go ahead and begin by explaining that first generation students in prior learning and mentoring, you may see some things that you don't think go together there. Well, a little bit about my background. I've been at the Naveen Jindal School for 2 years now in academic operations, and one of the tasks that I was given was to create a peer-to-peer mentoring system that would sustain itself and benefit students both inside and outside of college. And my background had been assessment, so prior learning, CLEP, portfolio, different types of military credit. I had this particular background coming in. So when given this task, I wondered if there possibly could be some common denominators or some common ground between the two, something that hadn't been done before that we might be able to create some strong mentoring cohorts and be successful year after year. But before I could sell this to my administration, I had to at least see research on this particular area. And lo and behold, there was some. First thing I came across was Conrad and Wardrop's article exploring the relationship of mentoring to learning in RPL practice from the Canadian Journal for the Study of Adult Education. Okay, now that I've caught my breath, you can see exactly what it is in terms of a relationship. The recognition of prior learning, or what they like to call RPL, is the process by which formal learning for recognized awards, something that we do know in the prior learning community is indeed accepted, and the informal learning from experience, like in the military, for uncertified but planned learning is given academic recognition. Now that's a very wordy but appropriate description of how the prior learning credit takes place in portfolios particularly. But the last sentence is very, very important. Mentoring, as they see, constitutes an extremely important part of successful prior learning assessment experience. This, ladies and gentlemen, was the crux of my proposal to see if we could create a program that allowed for student success based on common denominators, including prior learning. The next thing we saw were questions that Conrad and Wardrop asked. How best can mentoring be enacted in order to foster and elicit the cognitive activity? Well, you can read the rest. I'm not going to read everything to you. I think we've all been to college. But basically, how are you going to make it work and be successful? They asked the question. I provided the answer, or in my case at the time, a hypothesis. We would pair incoming students, that being freshmen or transfer students who were coming from a community or other college, who had CLEP credit. The college level exam program is what I use because it's very, very important and it's very popular in the state of Texas, particularly where students can take credit at testing centers and transfer in credit and credit for courses at the freshman and sophomore level. It was my background. I had a lot of experience with it. I wanted to see if it's something we could duplicate, which is why I focused on CLEP. That said, pairing those incoming students with mentors who had the similar prior learning experience, basically the same credit. For instance, if a student came in with English CLEP credit, we paired him with a student with English CLEP credit, Spanish, French, and so forth. The peer-to-peer peer mentoring and new student onboarding process can be seen basically really clearly in Stephanie Barton's article in Chronos from 2017. Simply put, universities can do many different things and mentoring takes many different forms. Each has its own benefits, but two of the most effective are what we also found to be most effective as well. Peer mentoring and also new student onboarding. Simply put, you're looking at peer-to-peer mentoring as being student-focused or student-directed. Each student-directed mentoring program, as we saw it, was connected to each degree program across undergraduate studies. That could be finance, It could be supply chain, it could be accounting, various majors. Mentors are students who are more experienced. As you can see, they know the ropes across campus, not just in the College of Management, but across campus as well. Where are the best tutoring facilities? What time is the library closed? Where's the best room to study in the library? What time does the gym close? Everything that's about student-related information. These people are in a position to guide, advise, and assist the less experienced student mentee who are new to UTD. Now, for peer-to-peer as well as new student onboarding, the mentees look to these assigned mentors to provide advice on academic issues, obviously, related to their major, but also on student life, student organizations, and activities. And I want to talk to you for a minute before we move on about the importance of student organizations and how they really acclimate students to basically college itself, life itself. We have roughly 70 student organizations in the School of Management at UTD, spread between the graduate and undergraduate levels. And in those particular organizations, you literally have thousands of students who get together. Now they get together virtually, but they share experiences, they help each other, they ask each other questions, and they work together to succeed. Not only academically, but socially and also beyond academics, focusing on what's going to happen after you graduate with your graduate or your undergraduate degree as well. So there's a lot that goes into this peer mentoring process that is also focused and accentuated in the student organization process. And I wanted to mention that really to you because I think it's so important that student orgs not be left. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we found that there is a link between prior learning and mentoring, and I'm going to explain that even further. So if this is something you want to do at your school, you can by all means do that. Clearly, for the mentor, this is an exciting opportunity to become a leader, or as I say on the screen, hone your leadership skills. You're definitely going to need these in the future, whether you're in accounting, government service, economics, real estate, whatever it might be. Being a leader is going to be important. For the mentee, obviously, mentors serve as a trusted advisor and confidant. As I mentioned earlier, someone that can show them the ropes and possibly help them avoid the pitfalls that go with being new to college. But specifically for the first generation student, the cultural background that's coupled with CLEP credit are two factors for creating peer-to-peer and new student onboarding partnerships. What I mean is, if a student comes in who is first generation, they are from a Hispanic background and they have CLEP credit. Pairing those individuals with individuals who are juniors or sophomores that also transferred in CLEP credit in Spanish, they're going to be able to have that particular common denominator together to work to become successful. A successful mentee, a successful mentor, but more importantly, a successful student and citizen. The same thing works for mathematics, English, or whatnot, but for first generation students, transferring in that particular credit is a good way to bond because not everyone has the same background as you, myself, or the people next door, or the people that are going to be doing the next session. This is clearly seen when you're looking at the Penn State statement from 2017, the study that I'm going to show you right now. They said it pretty clearly. Students who are entering a new environment who may be uncertain about how they will be accepted or perceived, i.e. lack of belonging, need additional validation in the forms of mentors who can connect them in ways similar to their home. Similar to their home, meaning to me, people that have the same experiences and background, who have been there, done that, maybe struggled, and can help them with that particular struggle. It's very, very important for those common denominators to be focused upon, accentuated, and linked between the mentor and the mentee. Next, ladies and gentlemen, is the process by which I was able to implement this program approximately 1.5 to 2 years ago. What we did, based upon my experience, we took incoming students based upon numerous factors, several factors rather, particularly your prior learning CLEP credit. If a student transferred in 12 CLEP credits or 6 CLEP credits in a particular subject, French, English, Spanish, mathematics, we paired them with already existing students who had credit in the same area. This was done in summer of 2018. We had 120 students enter the JSOM School of Management, the Jindal School of Management, also known as JSOM, with CLEP credit. Now, 121 of these were first generation from different countries and from various cultural backgrounds. We paired these 180 students with 180 sophomores and juniors with credit in the same academic area or declared major. Something I want to really focus on right now real quick is a group that we see in college right now in both undergraduate and graduate, and that's the millennial. The millennial is here whether we like it or not, and it's important to know what drives their success and what drives their need. The Huffington Post from 4.5 years ago was really on top of this, and I think it's even more so now. They love mentoring because it provides the personalized, self-driven development avenue. And this figure I find really interesting. With 75% want to mentor and deem it to be crucial, I think if you took that survey now, it would be almost 85 or 90% because of this proven success that we've seen in the last 4.5 years with millennials and mentoring, whether it be inside or outside the classroom. So having that particular guidance that's personalized, that's all about your experience and your guidance is very, very important then, and it's very, very important. The numbers themselves, this is the proof in the pudding, if you will, and I'm so glad that I'm able to share this with you. Now, this was our first leap right now with UTD peer mentoring onboarding with CLEP. In the fall of 2018, we took those 180 students that entered our school with CLEP credit. 121 of those were identified as first generation. Now, the cumulative GPA of the 180 students together was a 3.2 at the end of the fall semester, their first semester in our school. If you fast forward a semester, in the spring of 2019, 94% of those 170 were retained. 115 of the 121 were first generation. They received final grades. The cumulative GPA of all students was a 3.35, and those as first generation was a 3.3. As you can see through simple math, there was a slight increase in the cumulative GPA of the entire cohort. The actual mentoring process, the getting together, whether it be virtual, whether it be face-to-face, whether it be in group, the programs reported over 1,150 contact hours with the mentees. Ladies and gentlemen, that was more than I had expected with the number that we had, and that was spread across all the undergraduate degree programs for the 180 students. Common sense and the numbers tell me that those 1,150 hours were not wasted. They didn't just talk about where the best place to get pizza was, which is important on a college campus, but it looks to me like they also discussed ways to focus on tax evaluation, real estate depreciation, and finance and economics, or the GPAs wouldn't have gone up. So the proof is indeed in the pudding in this particular setting with increased GPA and a pretty decent retention rate. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we've seen that mentoring and PLA is indeed important and there is a link. But as you can see on the screen, I feel almost even more important than the numbers that it does equal belonging and success. From the Atlantic of about 3 years ago, many universities have specific goals to preserve student diversity. I think a lot of institutions, including ours at UTD, feel this is very important. But it's also important to understand that students can feel isolated. And sometimes this isolation puts these diverse populations at a higher risk of dropping out. I don't have to go into a lot of detail right now, but I think a lot of you know that first generation students and students from foreign backgrounds don't always have the same retention rates that other students who have college experience and whose parents went to college may have in this particular country. That's a totally different presentation, but I think the statistics are out there. Mentoring, however, can help alleviate this because it connects these students with peer support from others like them. People who have been there and done that, who have been down that same road, come from the same family background, the same country, or have the same credit. And that can act as a powerful driver to keep them on their chosen paths. I think that last part of the sentence is very important. Powerful driver, chosen path. Powerful driver meaning it's an important factor in allowing you to succeed, and that chosen path is wanting to succeed, wanting to graduate, wanting to go to grad school, wanting to get that internship or that great job. The Mentoring CLEP initiative, that's what I like to call it. We attempt to facilitate this connection with meaningful cultural interactions that I elaborated with earlier, academic support, obviously, where to go to get help, not just in the library or tutoring, but also various finance and economic labs we have available, and maybe even more importantly, the peer guidance, with the idea that the continued process will encourage continued academic success and persistence. Basically, it's self-sustaining, or we want it to be. The mentees will become mentors, those mentees will become mentors, the mentors will graduate, and you have a self-sustaining system. It's a little early to say that that's going to be what we're doing and that's going to be successful years from now, but all indicators is that it is going to be that way. Knock on. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how COVID-19 is affecting how we do things. I mean, after all, we're not in Connecticut right now giving this presentation in a face-to-face ballroom environment. So the future of the UTA PLA mentoring process in a COVID-19 world is actually what you see on your screen right now, Gendall Connect. Ladies and gentlemen, Gendall Connect is our recently created app that, as you can see, seeks guidance, share wisdom, and build careers through mentoring. It's designed to connect current students with former students, alumni, in their particular field for academic assistance, possible internships, or maybe even employment. But basically, it's to allow for increased student success. It's important that our students understand that not everything can take place in a face-to-face world, especially right now. So using the Gendall Connect app allows for face-to-face mentoring in this particular arena, understanding, communication, conversation, and networking without actually having to be out in the COVID world. This is where we're going with the next wave, if you will, of our Gendall Connect peer mentoring. As you can see on your screen, there are different areas where you can focus upon. There's directory, there's news, there's jobs, there's group, there's events. And in a COVID world right now, you're not going to see as many events or maybe even jobs, unfortunately. But you can still see a lot of updates and a lot of connection. This is an online virtual situation that obviously in a non-COVID situation you can use to create face-to-face meaningful interaction. But even in today's society, it allows for that connection and that mentoring, even if one person is 150 miles away. As long as you're connected, there's a chance to make a difference. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you for attending today. As you can see, my information on the screen is my Twitter account, and there's my work email address. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to be here today and see that there is indeed a connection between mentoring and prior learning. I was happy that there was. It allowed me to launch this program, and we're still going strong with it through the Gendall app, even in a COVID-19 world. The last thing I want to leave you with, ladies and gentlemen, is that we're all played a role in student success, professors, directors, deans, whatever. But that student-to-student contact with someone that is your peer cannot be understated in terms of helping our students succeed and become graduates. I want to thank you all very, very much.